Did you know that Marco the Phoenix almost joined Luffy's crew? Because following Whitebeard's last orders, Marco saved Luffy's life in the Summit War, then vowed to protect Luffy himself. Seriously, Marco went all the way to Wano Country to fight with Luffy, and he's so strong that even Shanks tried to recruit him. So he'd be an absolute game changer for the Straw Hats, if only he wasn't busy being a doctor in Whitebeard's hometown. And Marco is just one of 13 amazing pirates that we wished would join Luffy's crew. But when it comes to pirates who've got Luffy's back, not even Marco compares to Boa Hancock, the ex-pirate warlord and empress of Amazon Lily. Hancock's always been there for Luffy, from sneaking him into Impel Down to rescue Ace, to protecting him during the Summit War, to getting him back to his crew after 2 years of training. And if Luffy just asked her, she'd instantly join the crew. Why? Because she's totally in love with him. Seriously, Hancock's one-sided crush is hilarious, and her tragic past fits perfectly with the Straw Hats. Plus, she can turn enemies to stone, which could really come in handy. And since she wants to marry Luffy so much, why hasn't Hancock joined the Straw Hats? Well, first, Luffy hasn't popped the question. And second, Hancock is still responsible for taking care of her people back home in Amazon Lily. But hey, past empresses have left the Empire in the name of love, so come on, Luffy, just ask. On the other hand, we have a pirate who Luffy actually did ask to join the crew. See, back in the early days, Luffy gave out invitations to all kinds of weirdos. And one of those weirdos was Gaimon, a hermit who used to be a greedy, treasure-loving pirate until his crew abandoned him when he got stuck inside a treasure chest on the island of rare animals. And by the time Luffy met Gaimon on his way to the Gecko Islands, he'd already been living there for over 20 years, guarding a few treasure chests he couldn't even reach. Then Luffy revealed to Gaimon that the treasure chests he'd been guarding were empty, which must have been pretty soul-crushing. But to make up for it, what did Luffy do? He asked Gaimon to come with him. Unfortunately, I guess, Gaimon refused Luffy's offer in order to continue protecting his animal friends from any hunters looking for exotic prey. What a wholesome guy! But this next pirate tricked everyone into thinking they'd join, only to break our hearts. See, Yamato is the pirate emperor Kaido's kid, but the man she looks up to, and I mean really looks up to, is Kozuki Oden, the daimyo of Wano Country's Kuri region. I'm not kidding, because Yamato admired Oden so much that she even started identifying as a man and calling herself Kozuki Oden after Oden passed away. And how did Daddy respond? Well, Kaido beat Yamato, tried to crush his dreams of sailing the seas by putting him in handcuffs that would explode if he left Onigashima, chained him to a post, starved him, trapped him in a cave for over a month, etc, etc. Yeah, he's the worst dad ever. But then 20 years later, Yamato teamed up with Luffy to return the favor by taking Kaido down for good. And what's interesting is that Yamato had actually been waiting for Luffy's arrival, since Ace had visited Wano a few years earlier and promised to take Yamato out to sea one day. I guess that's never happening. But when Yamato found out Ace died, he knew Luffy would eventually come to defeat Kaido. And when Luffy finally arrived, Yamato was all like, "Hey, Ace's brother, take me on your ship." The thing is, Yamato kept saying he was coming, so we thought it was a done deal. Until it wasn't. That's right, Yamato suddenly decided to stay behind for a while to travel across Wano and protect it with Oden's real son, Momonosuke. What a disappointment. But if you're thinking what I'm thinking, just like Jinbei, Yamato will probably join the Straw Hats after he's done with his personal business. So that's 4 of 13 pirates who almost joined Luffy's crew, and the last is the guy everyone has always wanted on the team. But another pirate who should but can't join the Straw Hats is Pedro, the jaguar mink who led a fighting force called the Guardians in the country of Zou. See, Pedro was destined to travel with Luffy ever since his childhood. When the Pirate King visited Zou and turned down Pedro's request to join his crew, telling him his time would come. While Pedro was waiting, he became the captain of his own crew, traveled the world, then led the Guardians until Luffy showed up and brought him on an adventure to Whole Cake Island. And Pedro wasn't just any old pirate, he was a skilled swordsman. He could zap enemies with the Mink tribe's electro power, and he had tons of knowledge to share with the Straw Hats. But what really stood out about Pedro was his big dream to see the dawn of the new world, and he believed the Straw Hats were the only ones who'd make it happen, so he would have stayed with them as long as he could. Sadly, Pedro never saw his dream come true, and Luffy never had the chance to ask him to join the crew because Pedro sacrificed his life to help everyone escape from Whole Cake Island. At least he went out like a hero. Now, a pirate who actually did sail with the Pirate King and who Luffy actually did ask to join his crew was Crocus, an old doctor taking care of the whale Laboon at Twin Cape Lighthouse. Back then, Luffy hadn't met Chopper, so he was still looking for a ship doctor. And Crocus doesn't exactly look like a top-tier pirate, but the truth is that, when he was younger, he joined Pirate King Goldie Roger's crew for 3 years to treat Roger's terminal illness. According to Roger's first mate, Silvers Rayleigh, Crocus was the only doctor in the world able to extend Roger's life, so you know he's good. What's crazy is that Luffy didn't even know this when he met Crocus, but he was so amazed by how Crocus treated Laboon's injuries that he invited him to be the ship's doctor anyways. years. And even though Crocus refused since he was getting old, he still played a huge part in Luffy's adventure by giving him a log pose to guide the crew through the first half of the Grand Line. But if any pirate deserves a position with the Straw Hats, it's Bon Clay, an ex-enemy working for the Baroque Works criminal syndicate who became one of Luffy's most loyal friends. And it's not just because of his clone fruit power that lets him turn into a lookalike of anyone whose face he's touched with his right hand, or even his Okama Kempo martial arts. Nope. What makes him crew material is his heart of gold and his unbreakable bond with Luffy. Bon Clay and Luffy's friendship began years ago when Luffy saved him from drowning on the way to Alabasta, when neither of them knew they were supposed to be enemies. Then Bon Clay repaid Luffy with the ultimate bro move at the end of the Alabasta arc by distracting the Marines so the Straw Hats could escape to sea. When Captain Pina caught Bon Clay, he was sent to the Impel Down super prison. But the story doesn't end there, because when Luffy invaded Impel Down to rescue his brother Ace, he ran into Bon Clay, who'd risk everything for his friend all over again. And not only did he defend Luffy from a Minotaurus, rescue Luffy after he got poisoned and imprisoned, and protect his buddy's body from a pack of wolves, but he dropped another ultimate bro move by sacrificing himself so Luffy and the other prisoners could escape. The good news is that Bon Clay survived, and even though he's still in Impel Down, he's now the queen of a secret world known as New Kama Land on prison level 5.5. So it's likely that one day Luffy will come back to break Bon Clay out of prison. It would just be too wholesome and hilarious, especially if he joined the crew. Now, if you thought Bon Clay loved Luffy, wait till you get a load of Luffy's biggest fan. Because Bartolomeo, the captain of the Barto Club Pirates, loves him so much that he even built his ship to look like Luffy. No jokes. This guy has practically worshipped the Straw Hats ever since Luffy's escape from Buggy's execution back in Logtown inspired him to become a pirate. So when they met at the Corrida Coliseum tournament in Dressrosa, Bartolomeo was ready to go all out to help his idol. I mean, the only reason he even entered the tournament was to win the tournament's prize for Luffy. And Bartolomeo would make an awesome addition to the crew for two big reasons. First, he truly believes Luffy will be the next Pirate King, so he's protected Luffy, taken heavy damage to save Robin, and even pledged his loyalty as a captain in the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Plus, he personally escorted Luffy from Dressrosa all the way to Zou aboard the Going Luffy Senpai. Second, his barrier fruit power would be super handy since he could create barriers to shield the crew from danger and protect the ship when they're going out exploring an island. All he needs is an invite. And while Luffy probably won't be inviting Bartolomeo, here's a pirate Luffy definitely would have invited to his crew since they're childhood friends and honorary brothers. Except that Luffy thought he was dead for 12 years until he suddenly reappeared during the Corrida Coliseum tournament in Dressrosa as one of the most wanted men in the world. Sabo is a powerful hockey user and a master of the Ryoskin fighting style, but when he gained Ace's Flame fruit powers in Dressrosa, he got even stronger. So just imagine how unstoppable the Straw Hats would be if Sabo joined the crew. The problem is that Sabo is the Revolutionary Army's chief of staff, so he has other important work to do. But since he and Luffy are both enemies of the government and the Blackbeard pirates, you know they'll end up fighting together even if Sabo never becomes a Straw Hat. Then again, if the Revolutionary Army ever achieves its goal, maybe Sabo will join Luffy's crew to take it easy and fulfill his dream of writing a book about traveling the world as a pirate. Now, we're talking about pirates who almost joined the Straw Hats, so that leaves out non-pirates like Carrot, Rebecca, or Kobe. But even though this next girl is actually a princess, she technically was a pirate when she went undercover as a criminal working for the Baroque Works organization. Not to mention that the 4th volume of the Vivre Card data book even labels her as a former member of the Straw Hats, so there's definitely some pirate history here. And practically everyone wants Nefertari Vivi, the Princess of Alabasta, to rejoin the team as a permanent member, because Vivi was like family to the 6 Straw Hats she traveled with from Whiskey Peak to Alabasta, and I'm sure she'd hit it off with Robin, Frankie, and Jinbei too. Well, she might have a thing or two to say to Robin. Now let's keep it real. Vivi is weak compared to the other Straw Hats, but she could always power up with a Devil Fruit or a special power like Shirahoshi's ability to control the Sea Kings. Plus, she brings a whole different set of skills to the crew, like negotiation, management, and diplomacy. That'll be crucial when Luffy needs to organize his allies for the big battles ahead. And don't forget that Vivi's royal status could help get support from entire countries, or that her bloodline is tied to some seriously important events the world government is trying to erase, which will make her a super important player in One Piece's final saga. So is Vivi gonna rejoin the crew or what? Well, back in Alabasta, she decided to focus on being a ruler, and she's still a ruler. But Luffy's always got a spot open for Vivi, and guess what? Right now, Vivi's cruising the skies on Big News Morgan's airship, so her reunion with Luffy is likely coming sooner than we think. Which means the funniest almost Straw Hat of all could also make a comeback sometime soon. And on top of being a laugh and a half, Vivi's childhood friend Karu sure isn't your average super spot build duck. Nope. He's a stylish ride, an undercover agent, and he traveled with the crew just as long as Vivi. He even got the X mark to identify him as a member of the crew during the Alabasta saga, and showed it off in one of the most iconic Straw Hat scenes of all time. The crew loves him, we love him, and while Karu never became a permanent Straw Hat due to his responsibilities in Alabasta, I'm sure he'd love another round of Sanji's special drinks. And one pirate who's got an even bigger sweet tooth than Karu is Jewelry Bonnie, captain of the Bonnie Pirates. Bonnie's backstory is a real tearjerker. Things got even worse for her when she reached the New World, only for Blackbeard to beat up her crew and take her hostage. And if that wasn't bad enough, then Fleet Admiral Sakazuki caught her and locked her up at Marine headquarters. The good news? Well, she eventually escaped and met the Straw Hats near Egghead Island. Actually, Zoro first met her way back in Sabaody Archipelago, where she saved him from a sticky situation. But this time, she's getting cozy with the whole crew, making everyone wonder if she's the missing straw we've been waiting for. Bonnie's got this lively personality that's a perfect match with the crew, not to mention that she loves pigging out just like Luffy. Plus, she's quick on her feet and packs a punch. And let's not forget about her age fruit that can change the age of people and objects, which could come in handy for some sneaky disguises. The catch is that Bonnie still has a crew to rescue, and a bigger mission connected to her dad, so she's got some serious stuff to take care of before thinking about joining. But one pirate who practically did become an honorary Straw Hat for a while is Trafalgar Law, an ex-pirate warlord and one of the super rookies from the worst generation of pirates. And that's not surprising since Law is a tactical genius with mind-blowing devil fruit powers. I mean, seriously, the Op-Op fruit lets him take apart and rearrange anything or anyone inside a spherical space. And at the Battle of Rockyport, he used his powers to steal the hearts of 100 pirates. That's insane. As for his connection with Luffy, Law is a brilliant surgeon who saved Luffy's life in an operation after rescuing him from the Summit War. And when they met again on Punk Hazard in the New World, they made an alliance that lasted for nearly 400 chapters. Together, they took out Doflamingo, infiltrated Whole Cake Island, fought against Kaido, and since Law traveled with the Straw Hats for so long, it really felt like he was part of the crew. So why didn't Law officially join the Straw Hats? Well, he's already the captain of his own crew. And let's not forget that the Straw Hats already have their own doctor, Chopper. But if you think any of these pirates joining Luffy's crew is crazy, what if Luffy actually turned on his crew and fought them? Find out in this video right here. Click it!